Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corman Productions, here to talk about This Is Us, Season 6, Episode 9, titled The Hill. The episode's description reads as follows: Kate visits Toby. Well, that's just a fantastic episode description. Anyway, moving along, the episode was directed by Mandy Moore, which is series star who plays Rebecca, and the episode was written by Dan Fogelman, Casey Johnson, and Chrissy Metz, who plays Kate in this series, and for which this episode is about. Before going any further, I will tell you a couple of things. One, this is not a spoiler-free video, so if you haven't yet watched the episode, please go and check it out, and then watch my video. Secondly, if you like this video and want to support the channel, please like, share, and comment, as well as subscribing to my channel. So, I'll admit that I was pretty biased against this episode. I've been pretty biased against the storyline that they have given us for Kate and Toby this year. And in all reality, I have never really liked stories involving Kate and Toby. The exception being last year during the whole adoption story. But then, towards the end of the season, they returned to the form that I don't necessarily like. They have never seemed like a functional couple throughout the entirety of the series. They have always seemed doomed as a couple. They've always seemed dysfunctional. They've always seemed to have poor communication. And this episode pretty much reinforced all of that. So, did this episode end up overcoming my biases to become something that I enjoyed? Not really. However, the way this episode plays out makes perfect and complete sense. This week, once again, I will not be going scene by scene with this, because I just don't have much of an interest in doing so, and not because I procrastinated on this video due to my mental health issues of late. Instead, I'm just going to be going into the nitty-gritty of it. This episode, like the last one, takes place in 3 distinct time periods. There's the pool with Jack and the kids, this time focusing on Kate. There's the college age timeline, this time focusing on the character of Kate, whereas the last time we were focusing on Kevin. And then, of course, present day. All of this stemming from Rebecca's speech at the end of the Thanksgiving episode. This Rashomon-style storytelling is something that I like more in theory than how it plays out so far. It kind of plays a little clunky in execution. By the time we get to Kevin's, or rather Randall's, episode next week, we will have seen some version of Rebecca's speech 4 different times, and that seems a bit much to me. But I do like the idea of it. I have nothing really to say about the past timeline. Not as much to say about the college age years this time around. Hannah Zeel is fine. She's always been fine as a younger version of Kate. And all of these timelines definitely tie in to what the episode itself is trying to say. I have seen on the forums, on the Facebook pages, people being either Team Toby or Team Kate in terms of the argument that they have at the end of this episode, or rather, sometime towards the end of the episode. And I think that kind of misses the point. They are both right, they are both wrong. Kate, for much of the episode, finds herself missing the old Toby, the funny one, that we saw at the beginning of the series. We have a Fight Club reference early on, while Madison and Kate watch that episode together while discussing this very problem that Kate is having about missing the old Toby. And throughout the episode, we see the old version of Toby appearing in a imagined form from Kate. This is not exactly a perfect metaphor for the movie Fight Club, but whatever. Toby, and at the end of the episode, when they finally have their argument, suggests that Kate fell in love with a coping mechanism, that Toby used jokes to cover his self-loathing, his self-hatred, that Toby was a mess and miserable, unhappy. And unfortunately, this is all very true to life. As we get older, we change, we grow, and when you get married, you sometimes grow apart. You become different people from the people that you originally were with. This Toby is happier. This Toby is more competent. He can work a room, as Kate points out, and he's working a job where he feels relevant, which is something that he has never had before. In my view, Kate is wrong for not trying to love the person that Toby has grown into, instead of waxing nostalgically for who Toby used to be. However, there are a number of things that Toby does that we were not privy to, and that we are privy to during the course of this episode, that I quite frankly cannot get behind. Toby had a job offer back in LA, but he dismissed it for reasons that include The title wasn't right, the money wasn't right. But we have no idea how much money that is exactly that we're talking about, and neither does Kate. This job offer was never discussed with Kate, and quite frankly, it should have been. That should have been a discussion that they had, because when you are married, you have discussions about the direction that your family is going to go in. You discuss decisions that affect your family, and Toby completely failed to do so here. He did things like look at a house that he potentially wants to buy without ever filling in Kate about that possible plan, about discussing moving down to San Francisco on a permanent basis. He doesn't consider what that might do to Jack, even though in his mind, he's doing things for Jack. He doesn't consider that the transition for his blind son might be more difficult than he thinks. He doesn't consider Kate's life, the fact that she has a job that she loves for the first time. Much like Toby himself, he doesn't consider the fact that her mother is sick and all but said she will be in charge if something happens to Miguel. Now, of course, that brings us back to Rebecca's speech, in which she says that they should not shrink their lives and not take the chances in life. But for Kate, she doesn't want to move. She's happy with her life in LA. And once again, this is a discussion that Toby should have had with Kate in planning their family. Kate visited Toby in San Francisco under the idea of possibly exploring moving there. But Toby was much more ahead of her than she was ready for. He was much quicker to pull the trigger without giving her any actual time to consider if that's what she actually wanted in the long run. Toby has already made this decision without ever having actually talked to Kate. He's ready to go for this. After their fight, the next morning, the two talk, and it seems like Toby acknowledges all the ways in which he went wrong. But then he simply tells Kate that he needs her to get on board with moving the family to San Francisco. That is the only way that they can be a family. Once again, strong-arming Kate into doing what he wants, rather than simply having the discussion and deciding together the future of their family. In response, Kate goes for a walk and then calls her boss and decides to be considered a candidate for a job, which is considered a promotion. And we see Philip for the first time in a number of episodes now. Chris Greer is named as a regular on the show, and this is only his third appearance of the season, which granted is 3 more appearances than I had made this season. So there is that. And with that, this couple is doomed. They are looking for different things in life. They have grown apart, and this relationship no longer works. And to be quite honest, I'm not sure that it ever did. Anyway, that's all I got for you for this video. If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join my 2 Facebook pages, the Corman Productions one, as well as the This Is Us discussion page. You can buy something from the Corman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee, which is a new way to support content creators such as myself. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to my channel. This is Dave from Corman Productions, signing off.